Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Andrew DiStefano, Putnam County Crime Analysis. This is my second video on CPTED site assessment on the Putnam County Trailway or the Putnam County Bike Path. So just to go over a quick review, I'll do the CPTED definition. CPTED itself stands for Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. Again, crime prevention through environmental design, not crime. Let's let the crime happen and we'll catch him later. Environmental design. All right. Crime prevention before it happens. Crime prevention, environmental design. Okay. Now, the actual definition itself I have here, but really don't have to read it. It's essentially an analysis of the built environment in order to produce three goals: reduce crime, reduce fear of crime, and to improve quality of life. Something that is ripe for the Putnam County Trailway and all the problems that we've had down there. Okay. So now, without further ado, I'm going to bring the my project onto the screen, and that's it right there. This here on the cover, this is an actual, I believe, is an Eagle Scout project from a young man, I believe a Brewster resident, and really a terrific project. And it goes later to what I'm talking about. As far as CPTED, the whole concept of CPTED, So, as I said, without further ado, we're going to be following the guidelines of CPTED, right? So we have to go through most of the beginning just to get there. So we have our cover page. These are the table of contents. Not going to go through it now. In the CPTED site review, I am required. I do have certification, international certification in CPTED. So I am required to read the disclaimer. And the disclaimer goes as follows. This CPTED site security survey was conducted as part of a project for specialized topics, CPTED for communities, and will be submitted to Putnam County government as a public service using crime prevention through environmental design principles. The information contained herein is based upon guidelines as set by the National Institute for Crime Prevention and the observations of the author, that'd be me, promulgating this CPTED site survey. This site survey is intended to assist in improving the overall level of security. It is not intended to imply that the existing security measures or proposed security measures are perfect. If this project is submitted to the Putnam County government, it may be subject to the New York State Freedom of Information Law, or FOIL, Article 6, Section 84 through 90 of the New York State Public Officers Law. Okay. So now what we're going to do right now is going to go to the bottom of this page here. And this is slide 4, but it's page 3. I'm just going to read something and then I'll stop and just expound upon it. All right. On the bottom where it says site analysis and description, we're talking about Putnam County Bike Path. Multiple CPTED observations were conducted by me during daytime and pre-dusk hours between August 2025 and October 2025. You can actually increase that to or stretch it out to January of 2026 because I was there recently taking pictures and nothing has changed. Additional information. Local media, to include social media, has provided background information on community concerns related to crime and safety. Community members have expressed concern as to how diminishing quality of life and crime concerns have affected their lives. Police departments involved in operations at the focus area of the Putnam County Trailway provided information through media outlets relative to combating crime and quality of life issues at the site. However, all law enforcement information provided through the media appeared to be exclusively reactive as opposed to proactive, with a multiple of objectives, all resulting from an assault upon a female jogger, October 19th, 2025. As part of this reactive stance, media reports state that the police are going to, quote unquote, ramp up patrols. All right, so I'm going to stop there and I'm going to start to expound upon that a little bit. All right. Now, I don't know what that means. Ramp up patrols. I would assume they're speaking colloquially, and they're going to increase patrols, or double the amount of patrols, or add patrols. It doesn't say. I assume that's what it means. Um, so I'm stopping at ramping up patrols. Now, ramping up patrols or increasing patrols has never been shown to be effective in terms of law enforcement, because if your patrols were not effective, and they apparently just random patrols are not, then why would you keep doing more of the same thing? If it's a zero, what's 2 times 0? It's still 0. If you triple the amount of patrols, what's 3 times 0? It's still 0. So I don't know why you would focus on that. Routine patrol brings routine results. Routine patrol brings routine results. I learned that a long time ago. That used to get drilled into me at ComStat all the time. All right. But there has been, and just beyond me, way beyond my pay grade, there has been study after study after study after study to show that just, routine patrol and ramping up patrols has never been proven to be very effective at anything. As I said, it's a zero. It sounds nice. It sounds very nice. All right. But it produces a lot of questions. It really does. How long can you maintain? And I have my notes here. I have 3 legal pads of notes. So if you see me glancing down a little bit, these are my notes. I'm allowed to do it. How long can you maintain these ramped up patrols? How long? Because you're going to put them on a short leash. But this is the question I have. If the question is how long can you maintain these ramped up patrols, right? There's an opportunity cost to this. And what's an opportunity cost? It's when you have a loss of a gain, essentially. You're taking from one place to bring to another. So if you're going to ramp up patrols, quote unquote, where are you getting these resources from? Where are you pulling them from? You're pulling them from another place. And what's going to happen at that place now? Is crime going to increase? Yes. Is the service time, response time, is that going to increase if you're even tracking it? Yeah, of course. You can't do everything. So if you're going to ramp up patrols on that trailway, the only way you can do it is to pull resources from someplace else. So what is your opportunity cost? All right, it's called diffusion. Now, usually in law enforcement, they defer to diffusion of benefits, but there's also diffusion of loss. Because if you pull resources from one area to put them to another area, well, that's fine. But now, what's going to happen in the area you pulled resources from? Have you identified that area? And are you maintaining a track are you tracking it to make sure that crime isn't going up in that area, or that response time isn't taking a big hit? Are these things being done? I don't know. I don't even know what ramped up patrol means, in terms of data. All right. But this is textbook reactive policing. I'll get into that in a second. All right. As I said, you're gonna pull from one area. How will you maintain the area where you're pulling from? All right. This is all again, it's all reactive. This was all in reaction to an assault that occurred on October 19th of 2025. A woman was badly assaulted on the trailway in Putnam County, in the Brewster area, just off of Old Route 6, where you turn in to go to the Board of Elections. And she was running, from what I understand, running through the tunnel, and she was badly assaulted by someone. All right, for no reason. It wasn't a robbery or anything else. All right. Now, the assault, as I said, was October 19th. This article comes out on October 24th in the Mayapack News. All right, Mayapack News, and it talks about all these grandiose ideas that local authorities have for the trail. They're going to put cameras, they're going to put lights, they're going to ramp up patrols. All right. if the woman was badly assaulted October 19th, these plans come out October 24th. That's reactive policing. No good. Okay? No good. As I said, the assault was October 19th. The article comes out 10/24. Now, all these new plans that are in reaction to the 10/19 assault, there's no denying it. It's in reaction to the 10/19 assault. All right. Let's just go with that. None of those plans existed prior to October 19th. So if you believe that they're so effective, why weren't they instituted before October 19th? Well, the assault occurred. All right. You deploy strategy for one reason and one reason only. That's to prevent crime. It's not to respond to it. It's not to react to it. It's to prevent it. All right. If these measures that they're employing are so effective, again, why weren't they done prior to October 19th? Now, it doesn't, I mean, this is hard to say, but it is true. Does it take a woman getting her head bashed in to get plans going and to get things moving? I mean, this is what I would be told at Comstat. And everyone who's ever been up at the podium, they don't like to talk about it, but that's the way it goes. I couldn't even say something like, if there was, and I'm the captain, right? I'm the captain of the precinct. I get up at the podium, and you're in front of 100, 150 captains and above. You're getting grilled, right? And in the peanut gallery off to the side, all over the place. This is the command and control center, One Police Plaza, right? You have police departments coming from all over the world to see how you do it. That's an effective system. This is a system that we grew up in, all right? That I grew up in. Now, if I had, say, and a period is every 28 days. If I had 7 robberies for the period, right? But I had 2 arrests for robbery for the same period. I can't get up there and say, well, Chief, I know we have 7 robberies for the period, but we also have 2 arrests for robbery for the same period. So we're on it, Chief. He's gonna slice my head off. Just like what should be done here. Same thing. Andy, it takes people being robbed for you to respond to it. Is that what we do? We allow people to get robbed, and then we find the guy later. Is that what we do? It's not what we do, Andy. You know that. Okay. Now it's nice you have those 2 arrests for robbery, and in about 3 or 4 months, we'll be able to track it to see if these robbery arrests have brought down the overall total. To make sure that you got the right guy. The guy who's doing all the robberies. But for right now, I wouldn't even mention the fact that we have 2 arrests for robbery, because that's not why we're here. We're not here to respond to crime. We're here to prevent it. That's what crime prevention through environmental design is about. That's why it needs to get done onto the trailway. All right. As I said, look, this is not unfair. This is what I would be slammed with. So now when I do my analysis for school, this is what I'm doing, right? Now, you don't need increased patrols or ramped up patrols. You don't need that. Because as I said, there's tons of studies over the years, over the decades, to show that routine patrol does not have the effect that you would think it does. It's basically it's a zero. All right. You don't need increased patrols. You need smarter deployments. I'm not going to get too deep into the woods, because I'm starting to move away from CPTED and get into other types of other strategies of policing, like POP, and I don't want to do that right now. I will mention it quick, but let me try to stick to CPTED. But the problem is these things are not mutually exclusive. They're all connected. They all need to get done. Now, as I said, routine patrol brings routine results, right? So in this list of ideas that they're talking about, they talk about lights, they talk about cameras, and they talk about ramping up patrols. There's no suggestions anywhere of problem-oriented policing being incorporated into the plan. Now, what is problem-oriented policing? It's essentially seeks to identify the underlying causes of crime, and then you frame an appropriate response. The underlying causes of crime. This is not Kamala Harris saying we need to get to the root causes. No, this is not root causes. This is the underlying causes of crime. You're no longer focused on crime, guys. We're focused on criminality. We're focused on the conditions that's allowing those crimes to be committed in the first place. All right. If you focus, you get rid of those underlying causes of crime, you're going to crush your crime. Now it's unfortunately it's clear, that this was all a response to an assault. That mind frame, and it's fine, but that mind frame, it needs to go. We need to get away from that. It should not take a woman getting her head bashed in for us to be able to respond to this. Okay, it should not be taken that way. All right, and it appears that that's what they're still into. It's called incident-driven policing. You have an incident, and then you're driven toward the goal. You have an incident, you're driven toward the goal. Incident-driven policing is gone, and we need to get away from that. And unfortunately, it appears to me that's where we still are. Resolving individual incidents, that's a dog chasing its tail, essentially. There's so much more that can be done. Now, when officers or deputies respond to repeated calls, they're not looking for the underlying conditions that's causing those calls to be made in the first place. Now, this is not on street level people. It's not even on bosses. This comes right from the top. This is the strategy that goes out every week. Who's ever in charge, whether it's chief of department, the NYPD, deputy commissioner of operations, NYPD, locally, whether it's the chief of police, whether it's the sheriff, that's where this comes out. This is not the cops on the street, the deputies on the street, the bosses on the street. They get their marching orders, they go out and they carry out the marching orders. That's what they do. All right. Now, I don't know how if they're not using problem-oriented policing, and I know they're not, then in problem-oriented policing, the proposition is very simple. Behind every recurring problem is our underlying conditions that create it. Behind every recurring problem. Now, how do you know that? That's when you start using the SARA model: scanning, analysis, response, assessment. Assessment being the last one. Again, I'm not going to get into this any more than I have right now. But are there underlying conditions on the Putnam County Trailway? You better believe there are. Okay, because as part of my 47-page analysis, I wanted to do I wanted to include all the criminal activity and all the police activity into my report, and I had to stop at like the year 2021. You know how long it was? 105 pages. 105 pages of crimes and police activity just on the Putnam County Trailway. So, I mean, and the focus area of the Trailway. We have a lot of problems on that Trailway. All right. Now, as I said, I'm not going any further into POP as I already did. We're sticking with CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design. Video number 3 jumps right into it. There's 18 principles to it. And the first 4 are the most important. They've since added a 5th principle, but it's more of a conglomeration of the first 4. So it says it's 19 principles. It's really 18. But these issues are not, as I said, they're not mutually exclusive. They can all be done at the same time. One thing helps the other. It's like a force multiplier. So in any event, I'm going to end it there. That's a good place to end it, because video 3, I'll pick it right up on the CPTED principles. The first 4, as I said, there's 18, but the first 4 is what I'm going to focus on. In any event, this is Andrew DiStefano, Putnam County Crime Analysis. God bless, be well, be safe.